എല്ലാവർക്കും ഹാർദവമായ സ്വാഗതം. All are requested to be seated for the program to begin. Let us start this event on an auspicious note by lighting the lamp. We request Justice K. Sukumaran, Mr. Jacob Mapalasheri, Dr. C.J. Joseph, and Mr. Krishna Raj to do the honors. We also request Dr. Hira Unithan to join them. We also request parents of Dr. Hira Unithan Mr. K. Unithan and Dr. K. Rajlakshmi to proceed towards lamp lighting. Tina, do you remember how Chichi always joked about us having to get autographs when she gets famous? Well, looks like that's where this is headed. Jokes apart, we are proud of you, Chichi. Now we request the dear niece of Dr. Hira Unithan, Miss Shreya Manoj, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Dr. Hritya Unithan and Mrs. Tina Rajiv. Dreams cannot be tamed and dreamers cannot be ruled. Paulo Coelho. I've not seen a bigger dreamer than my Williama. At her 50, her passion is still thriving and is at the dawn of her dream journey, and she always wants to meet me. I know this is not a conventional welcome speech, but I had to put in a few words about my aunt to show her how much she inspires me to pursue my dreams and that I'm really proud of her. So getting back to my duty, first of all, welcome to perhaps the only non-agenarian of the group. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, can you believe that this energetic chief guest of our function is well past 90 years of age? Erudite, writer, social figure and activist, Justice K. Sukumaran has served as a judge in the High Courts of Kerala and Mumbai. He has led several inquiries regarding human rights and is the author of several books. He won Kerala Sahitya Academy Award for his 5th book, Niyamavum Jeevitavum, Law and Life. I have heard from my grandfather that Justice K. Sukumaran starts reading a book at 3 in the morning and finishes it by 7. So that is nothing short of a superhuman power if you ask me. We are so proud and honored to have you here, sir. My warm welcome to Justice K. Sukumaran. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Jacob Mapalasheri, sir, practicing chartered engineer and corporate consultant, founder trustee of Mahajubilee Education Trust, office bearer of Indian Society of Authors, active member of Kerala Sahitya Mandalam and author of several books. He has written many books in many genres like Kuttanadan Kadagal, Message for the Millennium and so on. We are honored to have you here, sir. A warm welcome to you. Next, I would like to welcome Dr. C.J. Joseph, story and history that I've heard from my mother and aunt, the legendary principal of Udyogamandal School. He's a great educationalist and was a principal of various leading schools. He has written several books including Life Values and received the Best Author Award 2017 for the school education. Presently, he is a live member of the Association of the Schools of ISC and travels extensively conducting in-service training programs. It's a great privilege, sir, to welcome you to this function. We are indebted to HNC Books and Mr. P.I. Verghese, sir, to have made it possible for us to bring to light Vanessa. Mr. Krishnaraj from HNC Books is here to grace the occasion. A warm welcome to you, sir. I take this opportunity to welcome gorgeous Dia, who rendered the prayer so beautifully. The world is a place filled with gracious people. May I now welcome Mr. Sumit Verma, entrepreneur from Mumbai, an ardent lover of the books and a dear friend of my aunt, who has graciously agreed to be here and deliver the felicitation speech. Welcome, sir. Mrs. Dimple Teresa Abraham, also a friend of my aunt, who has spent solid 20 years in the field of education and research of women's development, now in the process of planning a startup for early childhood development. Welcome, ma'am. Next, we have Mrs. Naina S., also a school friend of my aunt, who is obliged to be here for Hira and give the felicitation. She is an academician with 20 years of experience in management education. She is also a former national badminton player. Welcome, ma'am. Next, we have the young dynamic Miss Arunima Sajid, a budding writer, artist, pursuing her bachelor in design. Welcome, Miss Arunima. But this is not all. I am standing here in the midst of an assembly where the dais and the rest of the hall flows in eminence and elegance, seamlessly. I understand that there are friends right from the first standard, friends from college, relatives, family friends and colleagues, people who have travelled by air, train and road to be here with her. Some people might argue love is conditional, but really? So welcome to the most endearing and warmest spectacle of love. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreya. Now we request the chief guest of our function, Justice K. Sukumaran, to address the gathering. വളരെ കാലം ഇന്ത്യയിലെ പല കോർട്ടുകളിലും ജസ്റ്റിസ് ആയിരുന്ന വ്യക്തി, കേരള സാഹിത്യ അക്കാദമി അവാർഡ് ജേതാവാണ് ഇദ്ദേഹത്തെ വേദിയിൽ ഏതാനും വാക്കുകൾ സംസാരിക്കുവാനായി സാദരം ക്ഷണിച്ചുകൊള്ളുന്നു.
Distinguished members of this grand audience, I have been directed by the announcer to speak only a few words. As a law-abiding citizen, I shall try to adhere to that command. Friends, anyone will be tempted to speak not only for minutes, but for hours, if an audience, an enlightened audience, is before him. But it is discreet to resist the temptation. I shall try my best to contain my words, cabined and confined to a limited period of time. 2 days back, I saw a fine photograph in a prominent newspaper. It contained the pictures of 3 beautiful girls and a boy, and a good write-up. And then my curiosity was immediately sharpened. I recognized the 3 girls to be poets whom I had met earlier. The other was my colleague in the Indian Society of Authors, Mr. K. Unithan, Rajalashmi and Hira and Meera. All these were pleasing pictures to me, and I must say thank you for giving me an opportunity to ruminate over the past very many days and months about the good company of this poetic family. I feel I should wish and pray God that the tribe increases. As Abu bin Adam would pray. Friends, it is not for me to say anything about the novel I had read some time back. I have tried to encapsulate my thoughts, dearest thoughts about the book in a small appreciation in the first edition. To say more is not necessary, since a great doyen of English literature is beside me, and another great voracious reader, critic, is on my right. Sandwiched between these two giants, what am I flight to do? Be careful not to stay too long. I have tried to know, the meaning of the word Vanessa. Immediately I was taken to my childhood when I used to like the butterflies. The butterflies and the bee is a cherished idea for me. A butterfly flutters and a child caresses the butterfly. Oh butterfly, will you come? Will you come with me? Can I help you in constructing a small little nest? That is a lullaby which I heard sung, not sung in the sense of music. My wife said that I have a bad voice and should not attempt to sing any song, whatever. Anyway, whatever that be. That was a lullaby. Now, a concept of bee and a concept of butterfly are in contradistinction, but in some matters similar. A busy bee is Mr. Onithan. Beautiful butterfly or butterflies are on his side. This is a lovely picture I try to preserve in my mind. My wife, in a similar function, where both of us were present, and it was a present function too, remark that this is a unique family of writers and poets in the whole world. That is why I still feel, to repeat what I felt then, made this tribe in Greece. My wife had particular reason to say so, because we were described in many a platform as the first judicial couple in the world. It's pleasing. Of course, flattery is pleasing even to the judges. That's why when they say, our advocates address the learned judge, we feel elated. We do not know whether we are really learned. Anyway, whatever then be. So, the butterfly is a concept which is close to you and cherished deep in history. I was a tax pastor. I was a tax practitioner. There is a reference to butterfly in Mahabharata, and that is this: a tax gatherer should be like a butterfly in a democratic country. It should just sit on a flower without hurting it at all. Such a little honey, and then go again to please the viewers. That is the concept of Mahabharata. My friend before me will know how the income tax department now functions. It is not at all like the butterfly. Anyway, Vanessa is a name close to that concept of beauty. Swift used it way back. 1807, the words was in currency. But a butterfly still flies, still pleases, and still creates an atmosphere of joy and hilarity. I had found this book. I mentioned to her at that time, I had visited Coimbatore ever since 1954 when I was an apprentice and I was on my way to Konur for the cases. Coimbatore is a small Ooty, as it was said. Hiran describes Coimbatore. Not only Coimbatore, but Bangalore and other places. The description is so close, so enchanting, and the changes that have come into effect in these places are marvelous. In a sense, this novel serves a social history point. That was what Trevelyan said. Trevelyan was the nephew of Macaulay, the great Macaulay. He said this history, the social history, is the history of not merely kings and queens and wars, but of the people, about the objects you see, about food you eat, about the apparel you wear, and things of the sort. Hira's book is thus, according to me, a great social history work and so beautifully written in chaste English. I congratulate her. I shall not say anything about the book and its content, though I can possibly lecture at least for half an hour without interruption, having compressed the ideas in my mind by reading it and rereading it. The grandmother she depicts, the labor room she describes. You will feel that you are in the labor. You are in labors when you read the description. You feel at home when we see something like the grandmother. So friends, I shall not tire you by ruminating over many such books, many such views, because the doyens are after me. They after me in the good sense. I shall say only this. That is about a poem, a small portion of the poem of Ruskin Bond. He wrote, when he loved a good girl, he said, we went up the Hampton Hill. I loved her then. Something happened in the meantime. And the last line is, I love her still. I read this book some time back. I loved it then. I love it now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your kind and inspiring words. You're always a source of inspiration. Now for the event of the day, the unveiling of the book, Vanessa, written by Dr. Hira Unithan. We request Justice K. Sukumaran, sir, to kindly do the honors. We request Dr. C.J. Joseph, sir, to kindly receive the book. What a proud moment. We are witness to a dream. Let us mark it with the loudest of all applauses. Thank you, Justice K. Sukumaran, sir, and Dr. C.J. Joseph.
Now we request Mr. Jacob Mapalasheri to honor us with a few words. Chartered engineer ഇദ്ദേഹം എഴുത്തുകാരനും അതിലുപരി കലയുടെയും സാഹിത്യത്തിന്റെയും തികഞ്ഞ ആസ്വാദകനുമാണ്.
പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട Mr. Suvan, sir, Dr. Joseph, ശ്രീരാജ് മറവിയുണ്ട്, ഉണ്ണിത്താൻ ചേട്ടൻ്റെ കുടുംബം, ഓഡിയൻസിലുള്ള എല്ലാവരും, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും എൻ്റെ കൂപ്പുകയും. എന്നെ ഞങ്ങളുടെ എൻ്റെ ഭാര്യയുടെ ഇരിപ്പുണ്ട്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ വിവാഹം ആശീർവദിച്ചത് എൻ്റെ അമ്മാവനൊരു അച്ഛനാണ്. അച്ഛൻ വൈകിട്ട് എന്നോട് പറഞ്ഞു, നീ ജീവിതം തുടങ്ങുമ്പോൾ ഒരു കാര്യം മനസ്സിലാക്കണം, ആണിൻ്റെ ജീൻസ് വേറെ, പെണ്ണിൻ്റെ ജീൻസ് വേറെ, ആണിൻ്റെ ബ്രെയിൻ വേറെ, പെണ്ണിൻ്റെ ബ്രെയിൻ വേറെ, രണ്ടും രണ്ട് രീതിയിലാണ് പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്നത്. ഇതെപ്പോഴും സൂക്ഷിച്ചുകൊള്ളുക. അത് ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ വന്ന് കയറി ഉടനെ മനസ്സിലാക്കി. ഉണ്ണിത്താൻ ചേട്ടനോട് ചോദിച്ചു എത്ര മിനിറ്റ് ഞാൻ സംസാരിക്കണം എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. ഇപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞു 15 മിനിറ്റ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കൂടുതൽ എടുത്തു. ഉടനെ പറഞ്ഞു 10 മിനിറ്റ് കൂട്ടരുതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. ഇപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ഫ്യൂ വേർഡ്സായി. ഞാൻ ഫ്യൂ വേർഡ്സ് നിർത്താൻ നോക്കാം. ഓക്കെ. ഈ ബുക്ക് സത്യം പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഞാൻ വായിച്ചു തുടങ്ങിയപ്പോൾ അത്ര സീരിയസ് ആയിട്ട് എടുത്തിരുന്നില്ല. കാരണം ഇതിൻ്റെ കളറും ബാക്കി കിട്ടുമട്ടും കണ്ടപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ പെണ്ണെഴുത്തെന്ന് പറയുന്ന വാനിറ്റി പബ്ലിഷിംഗ് ആയിരിക്കും എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു. ഒത്തിരി അങ്ങനെ ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്. ദർ ഇസ് എ നോവൽ ഇൻ എവറി ഹ്യൂമൻ ബീങ് എന്നാരോ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. എല്ലാവർക്കും എഴുതാനുണ്ടാവും, എല്ലാവരും എഴുതണമെന്നില്ല. അങ്ങനെ എഴുതിയ ഒരു ബുക്കായിരിക്കും എന്ന് ഞാൻ കരുതി. പക്ഷെ വായിച്ചു തുടങ്ങിയപ്പോൾ താല്പര്യം വന്നു. കാരണം സ്കൂൾ സ്റ്റോറി ആയതുകൊണ്ട്. എൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട ഓതർ വുഡ് ഹൗസാണ്, PG വുഡ് ഹൗസ്. അതിലെ വുഡ് ഹൗസിൻ്റെ സ്കൂൾ കഥകളാണ് ഞാൻ ഏറ്റവും ആസ്വദിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത് എന്നും എൻ്റെ മനസ്സിലുണ്ടത്. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെ രസം പിടിച്ച് വായിച്ചു വന്നപ്പം അപ്പോഴും സീരിയസ് ആയിട്ട് എടുത്തില്ല. സീരിയസ് ലിറ്ററേച്ചറാണ് ഞാൻ വിചാരിച്ചില്ല. പക്ഷേ കുറച്ച് പേജുകൾ കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ ഒരു സെൻറ്റൻസ് എൻ്റെ മനസ്സിൽ തട്ടി. കാലം നമ്മളിലൂടെയാണോ ഒഴുകുന്നത് അതോ നമ്മൾ കാലത്തിലൂടെയാണോ ഒഴുകുന്നത് എന്ന് ഓതർ നമ്മോട് ചോദിക്കുക, ഓതറോട് തന്നെ ചോദിക്കുക. ശരിക്കും ഇലക്ട്രിഫൈഡായി. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു കാര്യം ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചത്, ഈ കഥ മുന്നോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോകുന്നതിൻ്റെ കൂടെ തന്നെ ജീവിതത്തെക്കുറിച്ചും ലോകത്തെക്കുറിച്ചും നമ്മുടെ ചുറ്റുമുള്ള ലോകം നമ്മളും തമ്മിലുള്ള ഇൻട്രാക്ഷൻ എങ്ങനെയെന്നും ഈ ഓതർ കുലങ്കൂഷമായിട്ട് നിരീക്ഷിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നു, ചിന്തിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നു. അതിനെക്കുറിച്ചുള്ള ആളുടെ കാഴ്ചപ്പാടുകളും ഈ കഥയും കൂടി ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ട്രെയിൻ പോലെ രണ്ടും ഇഴപിണഞ്ഞ് കിടക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ വായന വളരെ ആസ്വാദ്യകരമായി. കാരണം ഇത് ശരിക്കും ടോപ്പ് ക്ലാസ് ലിറ്ററേച്ചറാണ്, പറയാതിരിക്കാൻ വയ്യ. നിറകുടം തുളുമ്പില്ല എന്നൊരു ചൊല്ലുണ്ടല്ലോ. യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ നിറകുടമേ തുളുമ്പുള്ളൂ. കുടത്തിലേക്ക് വെള്ളമൊഴിച്ച് നിറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞ് പിന്നെയും ഒഴിക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് അത് തുളുമ്പി ഒഴുകുന്നത് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ തൻ്റെ ചുറ്റും നടക്കുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളെ ശരിക്ക് നിരീക്ഷിച്ച് അതിൻ്റെ ഇൻറ്റൻസിറ്റി ശരിക്ക് അറിഞ്ഞ് ഒരു ഈ കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം ഓർത്ത് ഒരു വലിയ ഡേറ്റാ ബാങ്ക് മനസ്സിൽ കരുതി അത് വെച്ച് ജീവിതത്തെ വിശകലനം ചെയ്ത ഒരു മനസ്സ്. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു സ്റ്റേജ് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ നിറഞ്ഞു എക്സ്പ്രഷനാവും. ഞാൻ മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത് വളരെ ടെൻഡറായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു മനസ്സ്. ഈ മനസ്സിൽ ചുറ്റുമുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം പതിയും, അത് ഓർത്തിരിക്കും. വളരെ ഇൻ്റലിജൻ്റ് ആയതുകൊണ്ട് താൻ കാണുന്നതിനും കേൾക്കുന്നതിനും മനസ്സിലാക്കാനും എല്ലാവരും എപ്പോഴും സന്തോഷിച്ച് ഇരിക്കണമെന്ന് ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന ഒരു മനസ്സ് തൻ്റെ ചുറ്റും വേദന കാണുമ്പോൾ എന്തുകൊണ്ട് വേദനിക്കുന്നു, വേദന ഇല്ലാതെ ജീവിക്കരുതോ, ജീവിതമാകരുതോ എന്ന് ചിന്തിക്കുകയും പക്ഷെ അത് സാധിക്കില്ല എന്നുള്ളത് റാഷണലൈസ് ചെയ്യുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നൊരു മനസ്സ്. അതാണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് കാണുന്നത്. ഏതായാലും ഇതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് പറയാനുള്ള ഒന്ന്, സൂപ്പർബ് ലാംഗ്വേജ്, സൂപ്പർബ് ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷൻ. സുമാന സാർ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷൻ ഈസ് ഫാന്റാസ്റ്റിക് ആൻഡ് വളരെ പ്രസക്തമായ ഫിലോസഫിക് ഐഡിയാസ് രസകരമായി ലളിതമായി അവതരിപ്പിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നു. മുമ്പേ വുഡ് ഹൗസിന്റെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞു. സീരിയസ് ലിറ്ററേച്ചറിൽ വുഡ് ഹൗസിനെ പെടുത്തിയിട്ടില്ലായിരുന്നു. കാരണം വുഡ് ഹൗസ് സപ്പോസ് ടു ഹ്യൂമറിസ്റ്റ്. എന്നാൽ എൻ്റെ അഭിപ്രായത്തിൽ ഏറ്റവും നല്ല ഭാഷയിൽ ഏറ്റവും പ്രൊഫൗണ്ടായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഏറ്റവും ലഘുവായിട്ട് പറയുന്ന ആളാണ് വുഡ് ഹൗസ്. എൻ്റെ അഭിപ്രായത്തിൽ സമ്മർ ലൈറ്റ്നിങ്ങും അതിൻ്റെ തൊട്ടുപുറകെ വന്ന ഹെവി വെതറും, ഈ രണ്ട് പുസ്തകം കൂടിയാൽ വിശ്വസാഹിത്യത്തിലെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ ബെസ്റ്റ് നോവൽ എന്ന് ഞാൻ പറയും. അതിൻ്റെ അത്രയും പേരിൽ കേട്ടോ, അഹങ്കരിക്കണ്ട. അതേപോലെ ഓർത്തിരിക്കാവുന്ന മനസ്സിൽ തട്ടുന്ന ഒരു നോവലാണ്. ആദ്യത്തെ സംരംഭം എന്നുള്ള നിലയിൽ ഇത് ശരിക്കും ഗംഭീര വിജയം തന്നെ. ഡോക്ടർ ഹീര ഇനിയും ഇതുപോലെ 1 ഡസൻ ബുക്കെങ്കിലും എഴുതട്ടെ. ഗോഡ് ബ്ലസ് സർ. താങ്ക് യു ഓൾ.
The legendary principal of Udyoga Middle School of the 80s and 90s to kindly address the gathering.
Respected Justice Sukumaran, Mr. Jacob, Mr. Raj, my dear students, because there are many here, and ladies and gentlemen, when I was requested to receive the book, I happily accepted the wish of my students. It's very simple to receive the book. But I never expected this situation where I would have to sit or stand between my students and Chief Justice. I felt like a victim. On one side, the accusers, and on the other side, the judge. Coming to my duty, a piece of literature can be interpreted in 10 different ways by 10 different people. My interpretation may be something that the author herself never thought of. And that is the reason why I have taken prior permission from her to interpret it the way I liked. Vanessa. To be frank, that's the first time I heard it. Vanessa. Vanessa means love. Love. So this is a love story. Or as one of the characters in the book said, Priya said, it is a strange love story. That is how I see it. You may disagree with me. Mostly, I felt it starts with the school as a background. The plus 2 education is over. After the usual farewell, they are departing in their different ways. And of course, a tear or two are shed. Goodbyes are said. Tears left and right. Small notes written here and there, including some love notes. And one such note was misplaced. It went to the wrong hands, perhaps. And that could be the villain of the story. The story goes through from school life to various careers, marriage, divorce, and I don't know what after that. Then again, remarriage. But in the meantime, as the witches said, a lot of hustle and bustle has taken place. The battle is over. After the battle, either you win or you lose. In this case, they were losing, but at the end they won. Thunder, lightning, and rain from Shakespeare. After that, what comes? Sunshine. I try to go through the characters mentioned. First, of course, the witches are there. But besides the witches, there are other characters. Dr. George, right? Can it be me? I thought, yes or no. The more I thought, I felt, no, it cannot be me because they have described him as a hero and I am far from being a hero. Meera. That sounds like Hira. It could be her. Ram. Who is he? Did we have a Ram in school? And what was the connection between Ram and Meera? I don't know, but my students here, her classmates, they will know. But after, as I said, after the hustle and bustle, peace prevailed. The marriage took place. Ram tied the nuptial, what is that called? Yes, on Meera, and that is the end of the story. I think it is really a love story. People should read it, and I'm very happy that my student has produced this wonderful book. I hope you'll all read it. Normally, people in the medical profession are not found to be writing novels. So this must be an exception. Perhaps got it from her parents or from grandparents. And I congratulate her, and I hope she will continue to write and bring out more books to be the pride of her family, her school, and the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words and for always being such a positive influence in our lives. On this occasion, we place a note of deep gratitude to Mr. P.I. Varghese, sir, of H&C Books for bringing to light Vanessa. We have here with us Mr. Krishna Raj from H&C Books to grace this occasion. Kindly honor us with a few words, sir.
Good evening to all. Respected Justice K. Sumana sir, Dr. Joseph sir, and Dr. Jacob Maplashari sir, all the guests present here. We are gathered here for the release of the English novel written by Dr. Hira Unithan and published by our H&C Books. It is indeed a matter of great happiness for me to stand before you all and say a few words about the newly published novel Vanessa. All of us love to hear or read stories right from our childhood days. In most of us, this habit is continuous throughout our life. The only difference is that the nature of the stories that we read varies as we grow older. Vanessa is a story that all of us will certainly like. The theme related to our present social life. It revolves around a few characters who are in their 30s and 40s. It's about human relationships, friendships, and love. As rightly mentioned by the author at the end of the book, love will always stay by its presence or absence. There will be no story otherwise. The novel reminds us of our school days or college days. We all remember some of our school friends, though we may not be having contact with them. A few relationships, just a few, may last very long. That's not easy. It is this grateful aspect that makes the novel Vanessa highly readable. The novel is about the friendship maintained by a few classmates. The pleasant thing is that one of their teachers also appears in the story. It's a highly remarkable thing that a teacher keeps a continuous contact with the students even after several years. The locale of the novel is mostly around Kochi, Trivandrum, Coimbatore, Bangalore, and Delhi. The story has a Kerala touch, and Malayalam words and phrases do appear in certain parts of the narration. The entire novel is interspersed with philosophical thoughts, as rightly pointed out by Justice K. Sumana sir in this preface. It gives an enriching experience to the entire book. Here are a few excerpts. In page number 83, in many crossroads of life, one has all the freedom to turn back and walk away. But in many of them, one cannot do that. One has to choose the road forward. In page 113, the dictate of a married Indian woman was a tough one. It was a messy affair to break through it. The Indian heart is much different and to date. The way she gives herself in mind and body to the permanence of the marriage, which is a sacred engagement of life, has not changed significantly. There is no such Indian logic that would make a woman walk of her life and wedded husband easily. In page 161, I love you, the three words put together in that order has never ever lost its magic. The people capable of feeling its lightning, its thunder, will know its life's rain. Those who have at least once touched by it know the color of the elixir of the human soul, the distinctiveness of this singular existence. Now, before I close, let me say a few words about the curious title of the novel, Vanessa. The word is linked to mythology. Venus is the Roman god of love. In Latin, the word Vanessa is related to love. It's also the name of a species of butterfly, a symbol of beauty. Thus, the little title has mythological and poetic significance. In conclusion, let me say that all of you will certainly enjoy the reading of this novel and feel happy about it. I wish Dr. Hira Unnithan all the best in her new attempt. May God enable her to write more stories and novels. HN's Books will be very, very happy to publish the same. Thank you.
We request this dynamic entrepreneur from Mumbai and a dear friend and classmate of Dr. Hira for felicitation.
Dr. C.J. Joseph, our legendary principal, Mr. Raj, Mr. Jacob, Unnithan, and all by herself, Hira. I think it's a great privilege to be here, and I must tell you that speaking on an English book, I want to speak in Malayalam, but then adinathoru anaujathya undu, appo adu karana I'll continue in English. While I say it's a great privilege to be here, I think, of course, to witness this occasion and speak few words on the book, it's also a big punishment. And I consider it as a big punishment to be here because to share a stage with our legendary principal. If anyone has read the book, it mentions about 7 heroes, and I was one of those heroes who had the misfortune to be punished by this principal. I'm sorry, the character. So after that, this is the first time that I'm getting to stand in front of him. I consider it a big honor. But anyway, coming back to the story. When I read the book, honestly, it was, I was mentioning to Hira that it was a very, very difficult exercise for me. And I was stressed. I was stressed for 2 reasons. One is that the familiar background of school, of events, of places, including lab, including playground, including assembly and whatnot, that takes you back in time and you start reliving those moments because, of course, having stayed and studied in an industrial township and knowing each other, each one of the students and the family members, takes you back in time, number one. Number two, you get confused by certain characters and you start feeling whether you are one of them and you get under the skin. So, having said that it was a stress reading, the book was unputdownable. I must say that. And I congratulate Hira for delivering that, a magnificent piece of art. I think storytelling is an art. It is also a fine craft. And the reason I say it is a fine craft is the way the author has handled the characters. So, come to talk about the protagonist, Meera. The kind of vicissitudes that the author has painted for her It is really touching, bordering to feel whether the protagonist has been played with a victim card, but that's on the border, but still. And also the other character, Ram, and his idiosyncrasies lend him a very, very intrigued feeling, and that helps to keep the suspense of the story. What could have actually become a very romantic triangular theme has been deftly covered. With the introduction of Priya, I thought that it was becoming a triangular love story, but then it has been deftly covered and it didn't fall into the familiar territories, and the author has done very well to pull the story out of that. The plot and the theme is something, if you read the book, it is very, very familiar. And what lends a familiarity is meeting, parting, and reuniting. This is a very, very familiar story. This is a very, very familiar theme, and this is a very, very familiar format, and that's the reason why you hold interest in this book. Because the two characters, Ram and Meera, are meeting for the first time in the school, they're parting their ways, and they're again reuniting. In fact, Dr. Joseph mentioned about that. And that lends a lot of credibility. In fact, Hira was mentioning that possibly that's not the way the story would have ended. But I think, I was also telling her, if it would not have ended that way, it would not have been right. Because the way to end is reuniting. That's an integral part of the story. What I felt different in the book is about the narrative, or the narration, or the style. And why I felt it was fresh to me is I found as if the author is speaking to me. The author is telling me the story in person. That's what I felt. And that's what I think lent a lot of freshness in the way the story has been narrated. Lastly, about the title. I think in the epilogue, a lot of references have been taken about the etymology, if I may say, how the meaning and how the title has come about. But I think what I take from one of the meanings, I'm not sure whether it was referenced in the book, that Vanessa means bringing to light or appearing or to appear. I think I would take that because here is an author who is a medical practitioner, who is an ophthalmologist, who is supposed to bring light into the lives of people, light into the lives of characters. I think here is a professional who will bring characters into light, characters into life through her literary works. And I think I would take this occasion to wish her all the best and Godspeed all her literary endeavors in the times to come in the direction. Wishing Dr. Hira all the best for many, many more such works. All the best and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sumit, for your inspiring words. You also led us down the nostalgic path of Udyogamandal School. Thank you. Now we request Mrs. Dimple Teresa Abraham, classmate and dear friend of Hira, who has been working in the field of education and child development for the past 20 years, to grace the occasion with a few words.
Good evening. It's really an honor to be here. And first of all, I want to congratulate Hira. You know, I met her first in class 10. I was a new student to school. And she came out as a very warm person, a dreamer, she was kind of lost and, a lost look at times, but, very warm person. And there was always something, artistic about her, And I'm so happy that after the medical school and after being a doctor for so many years, she's now like achieved this new, or found this new path. And this book, I feel, or I kind of have this premonition, she's going to be one of the best writers that we are going to see, you know, over the next many decades. This book, from the bottom of my heart, I really loved it. I was not able to like kind of put it down once I started it, and I loved the story. And it's such a great love story. And what starts in the school, and how like everybody said, I also wondered, like, who could be Meera, who could be Ram? Are they really like real persons, or are they just like from her imagination? And you know, it was just like amazing. Of course, Dr. Joseph, there was no doubt who he was. So the five fixation, I want to ask, Hira, like she did use, certain terms of how, like in the school, how we had this fine system for speaking in any other language other than English. And so there is this term she's used, five fixation. And I was asking what were the ways in which, because I came only in 10th, right? And I came from Bangalore, so I wasn't sure like whether, how did you really do it? So she did give me like lot of words. Can you just tell me? Chummified, like, so the Malayalam becomes English. Like when you use chummified, then irikified, meaning sitting. So, like, so you put five and made it English. So it seems that was common ways in which, like, in the school, children, escape the fine that Dr. Joseph imposed. So, all these things, like, brought back so much of nostalgic memories of the school. We all, like, have that great bond with the school. I don't think there was a place that I loved so much, like many of my classmates would vouch for. This book, again, another thing that I have deeply resonated within me is, it's about a fighter, kind of. The girl, she is a feminist. She goes through so much, like she gets married off pretty young because of, our cultural reasons, because of the background she is from. And speaks of class differences, how why like certain people may not be suitable because of class, for each other. But finally, how you break out of all this as you become an adult, and after so many trials through the, life, the heroine, Hira, Meera, goes through. Finally, she finds that love, and she finds success in life, not just in love, to become independent, to become an independent person, like, So she, when she was with the first, in her first marriage, where she was the, the traditional good wife who tried to fit into something actually she was not meant to be. She is always driven around, and then later when she moves out of that marriage into the new life, how she, actually drives a bike. And all that, felt so good as a feminist myself. And so I do want to ask Hira this question. Like, she brings in certain, things. Like, one of the things that I liked was, she does say, like, about, let me just, I had noted it down. Just one more minute and I'm just like, so she does ask this question. So I did ask her, like, whether, do you think children with working mothers are better off than those with non-working mothers? I did ask her this question because she comes across, in the beginning there is this particular sentence where she says, like in page 18, I escaped the ordeal because my mama had done the washing and polishing. The luxury of having a non-working mother. Despite her lost aspirations, my advantages were well in place, which happens across households. So I did ask her whether, what do you feel, whether children are better off with working or non-working mothers? What do you feel, Oda?
Useless mothers make better children.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an amazing book. And I know that each of you, like every one of us, will resonate many of the things that she has written. There's this lot of philosophy within the book. So it's a wonderful read. So I wish Hira the best of luck with this book. May she sell thousands and thousands of copies. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now we request Mrs. Naina, also a school friend of Dr. Hira and an academician in management education since 20 years, for felicitation. Naina, former national badminton player കൂടിയാണ്. ഞങ്ങളുടെയൊക്കെ ഫേവറേറ്റ് ആയ ഒരു ഓൺലൈൻ ബുട്ടിക് ആഷ്നയുടെ ഓണർ കൂടിയാണ് നയന.
So good evening everybody and distinguished guests on the dais. Such a happy moment. Let me thank Hridya for the very warm introduction. To be frank, when I started reading, when Hira sent me the book Vanessa, when I read, to be frank, the title was not very attractive to me. Okay, I was actually thinking, then in the introduction you had told that somewhere in the end we'll get to know the justification of the title. So I just thought, let that tempo go, let the secret be there, finally let the story unfold. As I started reading, like already so many have told, like I was actually guessing the characters, who this can be, because this is a very familiar scenario of the school, the place, the world in which we actually grew up. And one thing I want to say to Hira is that your love for nature has been so poignantly put up in that book. I would say that you should be a poet first and then a novel writer, because so well she has depicted each and every environmental aspect of our township, of our school, how we have enjoyed everything, the gulmohar trees. It was flowing, the story was flowing through all those. So might be she's an ophthalmologist, she's a surgeon, that precision of doing things have actually come up with such a big, lovely nuances throughout the story. And I always had a feel, because I knew Hira right from the childhood, might be from the age of might be 4 or 5, because we shared the same dance classes. And we started more than from school, we started off from the dance classes. She was like, Sumit, Dimple was telling, like she was slightly aloof, she was a dreamer. Yes, she was a dreamer, but always she had things with very strong instincts, which always gives us, people who know her very closely, always understood that she's a very strong woman with a very strong instincts, big depth, I should say, and that has come up in this book in a very flowy manner. And again, I would say that this book is a tribute to our alma mater as well, because so well she has depicted the English classes of Dr. C.J. Joseph. I was actually going back through the Julius Caesar times, the Macbeth times, about how we used to attend those classes with lots of interest. Actually, the school had a culture which actually developed all of us into what we are today, because it's a that school had a very unique proposition, I would say. And that is truly in the book also, because all of us grew in that particular environment. So Hira, you are truly a Hira, I would say. Unatanangala has actually aptly put the name. You are truly a Hira. And I pray to God that she shines as Hira gets polished. She shines so well in the years to come. And I always wondered, like, you should have come up with this book much before. Always I had in my mind that she'll be an author, because she was so good in arts, she was so good in sports, she was good in everything, whatever happened in the school, even though she looked slightly aloof or a dreamer. Whatever competitions were there in the school, she used to be there. And the character Meera has all the characteristics of Hira as well. But I could not portray who was Ram and who was... So other two characters I could not spot out, but Hira had all that enigmatic touch of that's Meera. And also the book, it's a love story, but I feel that it's just more than a love story because it got a lot of depth. It shows how a woman actually gets empowered, a woman who has been married after 12, how she develops herself through her life. So that shows a lot of empowerment coming up. There is love and beautifully, and after I read it, I understood that Vanessa actually holds true to the title because beautifully she has rendered this book or might be written this book in such a manner that the concept of love stands dismantled. So beautifully she has depicted the concept of love. So I congratulate Dr. Hira and I congratulate the family as well, especially for a woman to emerge as an author. I would say that the family plays a big role. Rajalakshmi Aunty and Unitan Uncle and the whole family is a literary, very excelling family, I would say, but I would congratulate, I have not met your husband, I would congratulate your husband as well as your daughter Shreya because you might have actually definitely supported her to come up with this kind of a work, and I always pray to God that you emerge as a big writer again. Thank you.
Good evening to the esteemed guests, readers and our beloved author. I just count myself very lucky to be here before you today and to have had the wonderful opportunity to read this book beforehand. Vanessa, in my perspective, exists in two parts that run in parallel. One is of this bright-eyed, innocent youth that slowly lapses into kind of mundane responsibilities and sacrifices that come with adulthood. And I think that personally I felt very moved by this plot line because I'm at an age where I am slowly navigating between these 2 points and the ephemerality of youth and the gradual death of innocence. We walk hand in hand with the characters as they make this transit. I kind of thought of it as like a wake-up call in a way. I think to mark this birth of a beautiful addition to the literary universe, I will read to you my favorite excerpt from this novel. We were born into a warless world. As we grew, the open markets and the IT sector boomed. It was no more a world or life our parents or grandparents lived in, but their memory, transferred one by strange channels, were always fresh in us. And that strange memory did help us to recognize all the disguised, displaced wars. Its remnants and roots and its births in different places, in different names, was not lost on us. We were just in a lacuna of safety that an interim distance laid, while the history of conflicts was just catching its breath. The earth was once a single place, with a place for everyone. Man's growth split it up like no one could. In an endless search, he surpassed several borders. We became the constant creators of oases, became possessed by ownership, and became connected and disconnected at several points. Many of us think that a new sensibility is making the war lose its own way. For a while, let us hope it's for a long, long while. For though warless, we are in a time that is at war with the times itself. Thank you and congratulations.
ആദരണീയനായ എസ്.ടി. സുകുമാരൻ സർ, എൻ്റെ വളരെ അടുത്ത സുഹൃത്തും ഞങ്ങളുടെ കുടുംബത്തെ എല്ലാം സാഹിത്യത്തിൽ പ്രോത്സാഹിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ജേക്കബ് മാപ്പിളശ്ശേരി, ഇന്ന് ഹീരയും ഹൃദയയും ഉദ്യോഗമണ്ഡൽ സ്കൂളിൽ പോയപ്പോൾ മുതൽ അന്നു മുതൽ അവിടുത്തെ നാടകങ്ങൾ ചെയ്തിരുന്ന ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് നാടകവും മലയാള നാടകവും ചെയ്തിരുന്നത് ഞാനാണ്. അതിനെല്ലാം പ്രചോദനം നിന്ന ജോസഫ് സർ. മാത്രമല്ല, അദ്ദേഹത്തിൽ നിന്നാണ് എനിക്ക് ആദ്യത്തെ ഒരു അവാർഡ് കിട്ടുന്നത്. പിന്നെ ഒരുപാട് അവാർഡും അഭിനന്ദനങ്ങളൊക്കെ കിട്ടിയെങ്കിലും അദ്ദേഹമാണ് എനിക്ക് ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ആ സ്കൂളിൽ വെച്ചാണ് ഒരു അവാർഡ് തരുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ കൃഷ്ണരാജിനെ ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ ഫോണിൽ വിളിക്കുകയും സംസാരിക്കുകയും ചെയ്യും. HNCയുടെ പല പരിപാടികളും വരുമ്പോൾ കൃഷ്ണരാജനെ കോണ്ടാക്ട് ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്, എന്നെ പോകാറുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ എൻ്റെ മോള് ഹീര, മറ്റ് ഇവിടെ വന്നു ചേർന്നിട്ടുള്ള ഹീരയുടെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ, NSSലെ വനിതാ സമാജത്തിൻ്റെയും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ NSSൻ്റെയും സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ, എട്ടരാക്ക് എന്ന സംഘടനയുടെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ, സാഹിത്യമണ്ഡലത്തിൻ്റെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ, പിന്നെ എൻ്റെ കൂടെ വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന FACT വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ, എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു വലിയ നമസ്കാരം. എനിക്ക് ധൈര്യം തന്നത് മാപ്പിളശ്ശേരിയാണ്. ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ എഴുതുന്ന ആളാണ്. ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് ബുക്കൊക്കെ വായിക്കാറുണ്ട് റയറായിട്ടെങ്കിലും മലയാളമാണ് ഞാൻ എഴുതുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു ധൈര്യത്തിലാണ് ഞാനിവിടെ നിൽക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ആ രീതിയിൽ സംസാരിക്കാനാണ് എനിക്ക് താല്പര്യം. ഞങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാം സപ്പോർട്ടായിട്ട് നിൽക്കുന്ന ഒരാൾ പുറകെ ഇരിപ്പുണ്ട്, എപ്പോഴും പുറകിൽ ചെന്നിരിക്കുള്ളൂ. ഡോക്ടർ രാജലക്ഷ്മി. ഒന്ന് നീറ്റാക്കൊള്ളാം രാജലക്ഷ്മി. ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഈ ഫാമിലിയെ ഞങ്ങളെല്ലാം എഴുതാനോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ ഇതിൽ ഉയരാനോ, എൻ്റെ മോള് മാത്രമല്ല ശക്തിയും നന്നായിട്ട് എഴുതും. അവളിപ്പോൾ അങ്ങോട്ട് എഴുതുന്നില്ലെന്നേ ഉള്ളൂ, അതിഗംഭീരമായിട്ട് എഴുതി 4 പേരെ എഴുതാൻ പ്രചോദിപ്പിക്കുകയും അതിനെല്ലാ സപ്പോർട്ടും തരുന്നത് ആ ഒരു മഹിളാരത്നമാണ്. മഹിളാരത്നം എന്ന് ഞാൻ മനഃപൂർവ്വം പറഞ്ഞതാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു വളർച്ചയിലാണ് ഞങ്ങളെല്ലാം. അതില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരിക്കലും ഇതൊന്നും എഴുതാൻ പറ്റില്ല. കുടുംബത്തിലെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ മാത്രമായിട്ട് ചിന്തിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കുടുംബത്തിലെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ മാത്രമായിട്ട് ചിന്തിക്കുന്ന ഒരു കുടുംബത്തിലെ ഈ എഴുത്തൊന്നും നടക്കില്ല. തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും അതിന് അവരെ അഭിനന്ദിച്ചേ പറ്റൂ. പിന്നെ എനിക്ക് മറ്റൊന്നും പറയാനില്ല. ഇത് ഒരുപാട് പേര് ഈ നോവലിനെ പ്രശംസിച്ച് പറഞ്ഞു. അവൾ മലയാളത്തിൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു നോവൽ എഴുതിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നു, ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ വേറൊരു നോവൽ മുക്കാലായെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ എഴുതിക്കൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഇരിക്കുകയാണ്. അതുപോലെ കവിതകൾ, ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് കവിതകൾ, മലയാള കവിതകൾ എഴുതിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ നല്ല രീതിയിൽ ഉയർന്നു വരട്ടെ. അത് എല്ലാവർക്കും പ്രചോദനമാവട്ടെ. എഴുതുന്ന നമ്മുടെ ഇപ്പോൾ വന്ന് ഒരുപാട് കുട്ടികൾ, ഇവിടെ മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജിൽ പഠിക്കുന്ന കുട്ടികളൊക്കെ ഒരുപാട് പേര് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അവർക്കൊക്കെ പ്രചോദനമാവട്ടെ. ഇനി എഴുതട്ടെ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് എൻ്റെ വാക്കുകൾ നിർത്തുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
ആംഗലേയം അലതല്ലിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ഇവിടെ ഞാൻ മലയാളം പറയുമ്പം കുളിർമയാവുമോ അതോ അരോചകമാവുമോ എന്നൊന്നും എനിക്ക് അറിഞ്ഞുകൂടാ. എന്തായാലും ഞാൻ മലയാളം തന്നെയാണ് പറയാൻ പോണേ. ഞങ്ങളുടെ വീട്ടില് ഒരു സംസ്കാരം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അച്ചടി ഭാഷയെ സംസാരിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു സംസ്കാരമായിരുന്നു. അത് നാട്ടുമ്പുറ പത്തനാപുരത്തു നിന്ന് വന്ന ഞങ്ങൾ അവിടെ വെച്ചും എല്ലാം അച്ചടി ഭാഷയാണ്. അപ്പം ഞങ്ങളുടെ വീട്ടിലും മലയാളം ഭാഷ തന്നെയാണ്, പച്ച മലയാളത്തിൽ തന്നെയാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ സംസാരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ പേപ്പറുകളൊക്കെ, പേപ്പർ വാങ്ങിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ആ പേപ്പർ വിറ്റാൽ നോവൽ വായിക്കും എന്നുള്ളൊരു നിബന്ധന നമുക്കുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പേപ്പർ വിൽക്കുന്ന പൈസ വെച്ച് നോവൽ വാങ്ങിക്കും, എന്നിട്ട് നമ്പരിട്ട് വയ്ക്കും. അങ്ങനെ നോവൽ മലയാളം നോവൽ ഒരുപാട് ഞങ്ങളുടെ വീട്ടിലുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇപ്പം അതൊക്കെ പോയി, സത്യം പറഞ്ഞ എല്ലാം പഴകിപ്പോയി. പക്ഷെ ഈ മലയാളം നോവലൊന്നും എൻ്റെ മക്കൾ വായിക്കുന്നതായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. അന്ന് വായിക്കുന്ന പ്രായവുമായിരുന്നില്ല. ഞങ്ങളൊക്കെ വായിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്, അത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഞങ്ങൾ പച്ച മലയാളം സംസാരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നവരെ ഞങ്ങൾ ഉദ്യോഗമണ്ഡ സ്കൂളിൽ ചേർത്തു. പക്ഷേ ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് എവിടെ നിന്ന് വന്നു എന്ന് എനിക്ക് തന്നെ അറിഞ്ഞൂടാ. ഇത്രയും ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് എഴുതാനുള്ള കഴിവ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നത് ദൈവം തന്നെയാണെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു. ദൈവവും സ്കൂളും എല്ലാം ആ സാഹചര്യം ഒക്കെ തന്നെയായിരിക്കും. ഞാൻ ഇത്രയും കടുങ്ങ ചെയ്യുമെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചില്ല കേട്ടോ. മലയാളത്തിൽ എഴുതുന്നാണ് വിചാരിച്ചത്, പക്ഷേ മലയാളത്തിലല്ലാതെ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ തന്നെ എഴുതി. പക്ഷേ രണ്ടുപേരും കുറേശ്ശെ ഇവർ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ നേരത്തെ ചെറിയ കവിതകളൊക്കെ എഴുതി വെക്കുമായിരുന്നു. ഞാനത് വളരെ ഇതായിട്ട്, എനിക്ക് ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ വലിയ പരിജ്ഞാനമൊന്നും ഇല്ല എങ്കിൽ പോലും അതൊരു കൗതുകത്തിന്റെ പുറത്ത് ഞാൻ ഡയറിയിലൊക്കെ എഴുതി വെച്ച് ഇപ്പോഴും സൂക്ഷിച്ചു വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അവർക്ക് അറിയാമെന്ന് എനിക്ക് അറിഞ്ഞൂടാ. അവർ പണ്ട് എഴുതിയ ചെറിയ കവിതകൾ ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോഴും സൂക്ഷിച്ചു വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് ഡയറിയിൽ. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞാണ് ഒരു ഇളയാള് ഡോക്ടർ ഹൃദയ ഉണ്ണിത്താനും കുറേശ്ശെ എഴുതുന്ന ആളാണ്. വളരെ ഷാർപ്പായിട്ട് എഴുതുന്ന വ്യക്തിയാണത്. പക്ഷെ ഇപ്പൊ സമയമില്ലെന്നാണ് അവൾ പറയുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ ഇത് ഈ കംപ്ലീറ്റ് നോവൽ ഏതാണ്ട് 3/4 ആയപ്പോഴാണ് ഞാൻ അറിഞ്ഞത് ഇങ്ങനെ ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് നോവൽ ഉണ്ടെന്ന്. വായിച്ചു പോകാം, ഞാൻ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ വലിയ പരിജ്ഞാനമൊന്നും എനിക്കില്ലെങ്കിലും വായിച്ചു പോകാം എന്ന് എനിക്ക് കുറച്ച് വായിച്ചപ്പോൾ മനസ്സിലായി. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഇത് തുടരട്ടെ, ഈ സംരംഭം നിങ്ങൾ തുടരട്ടെ. നിങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാം ആത്മാർത്ഥമായ സഹകരണവും അനുഗ്രഹവും എല്ലാം ഉണ്ടാകും എന്ന് മനസ്സിലാകുന്നു. ഞാൻ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് അവളെ അനുഗ്രഹിക്കേണ്ട കാര്യമൊന്നുമില്ല. എൻ്റെ മക്കളാണ്, അവരെ എൻ്റെ അനുഗ്രഹം എപ്പോഴും ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കും എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുന്നു. നമസ്കാരം.
This has been a long journey. The struggles, both creative and emotional, the fears, the inspiration, and the final culmination of this wonderful novel. Now we welcome the star of the show, Dr. Hira Unnithan, to reflect and to reminisce the journey of Vanessa. Hira, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Tina. Vanessa means so many things literally. I mean, you can have a page on Vanessa if you actually Google Vanessa. And now all that metaphorically to me. This book is like this place, warmth and love, with fine old smells and smiles. This book has brought together in one place my whole fond remembrance of life. My thank you is my only list. Almighty, before and after everything and everyone else. Thank you, Justice Sukumaran sir, for kindly presiding over. It's amazing to be entrusted with a kind of faith by somebody of your stature. It's like one can't believe less because he is believing. And you can't be excited less because he is so excited for you. Thank you so much, sir. One day, my father brought back the manuscript of Vanessa. We had given it to Mapplasheri sir for reading. And he came back and said, Mapplasheri sir parnu idil kuttu illa, comma illa, paragraph illa. Stand still. The tiny stream suddenly realized about the rocky pathways it has to pick through now to flow further. That's how it went to Jim, my little Vanessa, to get into better shape. So thank you, Mapplasheri sir, for the shape shift. Thank you, Mr. Krishnaraj sir, for being here on behalf of HNC and P.I. Varghese sir. My dream comes with your logo. This is the first shape of my dream in the literary sense. The novel started when my friend Sunita, who is here, her sister, that day she had won a literary contest online. And I wasn't taking my eyes off her, in awe. And she laughed and said, come on, Chechi, you two can do it. Hridya, Rakhi, and Tina have always been close to my soul, and therefore it's not surprising that they were my beta readers who saw it before sunlight. Vanessa initially was a sea of words. Thank you to my editors Meeta Kapoor and Shalini Jayaprakash for their hard work. Shalini is my sister Hridya's school bestie, and she did it all for love and with so much love. We had 2-year-long interaction that we and Vanessa grew so much together in the process. The week Chitra told me, Chechi, you too can do it, on the people you may know list of FB, I saw a spark. And a lightning fell, and Vanessa fell like a rising star from the sky. Dr. C.J. Joseph was that rising star. Dr. C.J. Joseph is my dear, dear principal from Udyoga Mandal School, who inspired the genesis of this novel and the character of Dr. George. It feels so complete to have you here, sir. 2 weeks back, we had a small program, a book release of my father and an audio release of my mother. So my father's plan was to put these two in that pot. But I felt the concept, the crowd, the vibe, the genre, everything being different, this has to take place separately. He immediately agreed and easily threw a difficult question at me. Appa ninde side inna etra pere pratikshikam? Oh, reality check. All filters down, low point. But from the moment I typed in my first message about Vanessa and the first phone call, everything fell in place, as easy as an already solved puzzle. Dr. Jagat's and Dr. Smita's daughter Diya was doing the prayers. My sister and friend Tina got the reins from my hands to theirs. My niece Shreya was welcoming, and my daughter Nidhi was giving the word of thanks. Just as Sukumaran sir was presiding, Mapplasheri sir was coming, Dr. C.J. Joseph
was a little reluctant in the beginning, but he fell in with the plan, and H&C Books offered to show up with a gracious presence. Dimpy just jumped her ever-happy self onto the bandwagon with loads of love. Now, when everything goes bleak on social media, there is a sure voice she sends me saying, "Hello Hira, don't put down your pen." She too joined. Sumit so spontaneously agreed to be here. The only thing he warned me about was, if there is a date change, I pay his flight cancellation charges. All of them here just for me. Wow. And Arunima Sajid came into my life as a paper airplane on Insta. She is such a huge compliment to my writer self. We are mutual admirers. She's also a part of my humility. It turned out she's Shree's daughter, my medical college mate. It was a coincidence. So this novel gives a lot back to me already. And Vanessa looks so beautiful on the cover. Thank you, H&C. I've been someone very, very conscious of being known as a writer in the workplace. I feared for my validation in the workplace. 2 days after I handed over my invitation to my present boss, he sent a picture of the book that he bought on Amazon. And in 2 days, I had the first review, that too a gorgeous one, on the Amazon site by him. A shout out to my boss, my employers, Dr. Shiv Kumar and Dr. Sapna, for this goosebump validation. I have friends who have traveled from Mumbai, Bangalore, Calicut, Thrissur, Chertala, Vaikam, from all over Kochi and its neighborhood to be here. Friends who are unable to make it here, who called up to cheer. What more validation to existence does one need? I had the entire trajectory of my life here. ഒരു പഴയ കീർമ്പിളി ഹീരുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ആ പഴയ കീർമ്പിളി ഹീരിൽ നിന്നൊരു 60-65 കിലോ ഉള്ള ഹീര വരെയുള്ള യാത്രയിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഘട്ടത്തിലും എവിടെയെങ്കിലും കൂടെ നിന്നവരും കൈ പിടിച്ചവരായിരിക്കും ഈ ഹാളിലുള്ളത്. My parents, who made me go through this entire publishing process like it was an exam. I felt I was going for my NEET exam. But for that pressure, this couldn't have cooked. Of course, but for them, there wouldn't have been any beginning. Thanks to my entire family who are friends and my entire set of friends who are like family. In fact, KK, my Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, traveled from Jamnagar to be here. That's so special. He braved Bipojoy before he came here to brave me. Thank you, KK, for taking me lightly. I couldn't have carried all the weight that I create. Vanessa is from a lot of encouragement, starting from my late maternal grandmother, Kunyukutiyamma, my Achanamma sister, my dear old gold wine friends, teachers, precious teachers, scribble last page notebooks of school backbenches, of college diaries, of adulting, of going on a roller coaster with KK and Nidhi. Vanessa is validation, also of family, friends and relatives, teachers, and also Facebook friends who relentlessly put faith in me. Unlike my poems, which many call complicated, I assure you, Vanessa is a simple coming-of-age romantic drama. Love which puts humans apart from other creations, other than perhaps science. So maybe I should not repent coming out with a tale of love at the age of 50. In a way, it is audacity. But it is love too. It is love's audacity. I hope Vanessa will find warmth in your hands, homes in your hearts. I hope Ram and Meera will have that great journey that they have been promised. Thank you.
That was so endearing to hear, Hira. Thank you so much. You touched all our hearts. Now we'll have a slight... may I now request the author of the book, Dr. Hira, to read a few excerpts from the book.
Few of my nascent readers to, just send me something that interested them. So I'll just read 2 excerpts, I won't bore you much. So this is chapter 2, it begins like this. From when God had thought of me, He made me find the fine details, unable, of course, to chip off the vanity that got in there. Perhaps He put it in there default with a sly smile when none of His God friends were looking. But beauty is not the chips on the bone, the craft on the skin or the flesh. It's the inner spirit, the program of the heart or the brain, all that makes you and me think differently, makes us cry or smile more or less. He had programmed me just right to smile enough, to laugh enough. This is the introductory note of Meera. I mean, it's just a peep into her character. I'll go into one more excerpt. I felt naked somewhere, raw somewhere. Think of it. No love story is perfect. But is yours even as close to anything called love? You have trodden over your dignity. In one night, once again, on a stormy sea, I was setting sail, alone and once again away. But this time, it was my choice. I think I will not bore with much more. Thank you.
We have heard different perspectives of the meaning Vanessa. We want to know from the author what she thinks that word means to her.
It was very organic, Vanessa. See, when I had this idea of bringing out my poetry book, so that I had named Chrysalis. I don't know whether I will still name it that way, but Vanessa, in fact, was the character of Meera, as I would see it, love, but basically I think it was the bringing to light up here for me. So in all ways, bringing to light a lot of perspectives about woman, love, and my novel.
So this question was put forward by Chitra, who probably inspired her to start writing.
Okay.
Next is a question from Nayana. Why were you late in writing this beautiful story? She has one more question. Tell me about your emotions once you finished writing. She says she's a little curious, like our school days.
This is actually, I wrote this novel in 2015, in fact. And then it was there, I shifted my place from Coimbatore to Karnataka, then from Karnataka to Jamnagar, then Jamnagar back to Kerala. I think this would have been lying there, but for, I told you, the pressure cooker that I have at home, my parents. So it was written long back, but it took time to come out, and I wasn't really confident. I was really scared for judgment, so I was really not confident. I couldn't have not done this, so I did this. That's it.
Okay, the last question. This has come from Sumit. At the culmination of the story, how would you define the chemistry and the relationship between Priya and Meera?
Actually, I didn't want to solve the equation between Priya and Meera at any cost in the novel, because that is very romantic, I feel, and I wanted to bring some reality into that romantic novel. We have people in our life, we have situations in our life which stays as it is. It just doesn't, get solved. So you accept as they are. And there's another way I like to see it. Whether Priya or Meera, I just feel all is well at the end. And, there are always two sides to a coin, I feel, always.
Thank you, Hira.
Thank you.
Now, we welcome Ms. Nidhi Krishna, the dear daughter of Dr. Hira, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, all. This point of my journey is such a revelation. I see a part of universe where the beginning begins. But to be overwhelmed is not the job today. I extend our earnest gratitude to Justice Sukumaran Sir, who is a constant part and a positive storm in the family's literary and social endeavors. My gratitude goes out to Jacob Mapplesheri Sir, being the unrelenting presence in our family's journey. Thank you, Joseph Sir, my mother's principal, who is in fact the spark of this book and the entire event henceforth.
Thank you for making it here, for us to see the legendary principal of my mom's school, and everybody to see the man who inspired Dr. George in the book Vanessa. Thank you, Krishna Raj sir, for appearing on behalf of HNC and P.I. Varghese sir. Thank you, Sumit uncle, Dimple auntie, Naina auntie, and Arunama coming here all the way and making their precious inputs. Thank you to the assemble of elegance and spectacle of magnanimity. The hall, I understand, is a galaxy with stars from all over. Thank you all friends and all family. Thank you Shreya Chechi for that warm welcome. Thank you Chitta and Tina auntie for having held the reins of this evening so gracefully. Thank you Muttacha and Amama for without their pressure cooking, this book wouldn't have been cooked. Thank you Classic Fort, the Light and Mic team. Thank you to the caterers and the event management team. Gratitude is the essence of this day. To all the skies and the rails and the roads that brought love in our hearts and faces, lighting up this event in words and smiles. Thank you all.
On behalf of us all, I'd like to wish Hira, I call her Devi, it's very difficult to call you Hira. I wish you all the very, very best, and like many of them said, I hope you print more and more books for us, and I hope I get the first chance to read again. But love you, and it's a beautiful experience, and I'm so happy for you. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming on behalf of her family, and yeah, that's about it. So I'd like to say good night, and dinner is ready.